Shalom, welcome to JewishTV.media. Our topic today is fertility treatment in Jewish law. And I will begin with an email sent to my regular question and answer forum. Dear Rabbi Ullman, a very close married friend of mine who is Jewish like me has just discovered that the only way she can have children is through IVF, in vitro fertilization. She asked me to email you in order to clarify the Jewish religious position on regular in vitro, as well as in vitro involving a sperm donor, an egg donor, or surrogacy. She understands that eventually she will have to come and speak to you, as one cannot actually get involved with something like this without direct guidance. But in the meantime, she wanted to take advantage of your email forum to get the general picture. Aliza from Rose Bay. So, Aliza, you're quite right that it is impossible to give justice to the subject in a few moments, but I will attempt to give at least a general picture in order to be able to create an awareness of at least the issues involved. I will assume that the listeners are aware of the general terminology and scientific position of in vitro. Otherwise, it can be Googled. Regular in vitro fertilization, where the sperm comes from the father and the eggs come from the mother and the mother carries the child to term, is allowed in principle. However, in reality it requires a rabbinical guidance which involves also supervision in clinics to make sure that all the genetic material remain belonging to father and the mother. In Sydney we're very fortunate to have a very close relationship with all the major clinics and which follow our protocol, and this allows the couples to be able to have children through those techniques, that technology, without compromising Jewish law. When it comes to a donor, it's more complicated. When it comes to a sperm donor, we know that until now it was until 1990s. It was quite much more relevant because the amount of cases involving the need for a donor was very, very common. After 1990s, because of certain advances in the technology of fertility, the need became much less, thank God. For example, something called ICSI, micro-injection, which allows even men with very low sperm count, morphology, and motility still to become fathers, and later to be able to actually take out from the sperm tracts, take out the sperm enough to be able to conceive a child through methods called TESE and macro-TESE were available. But still, even today, we have situations when that is impossible, and the only choice that a couple can have in such a case is either to adopt or to be able to have a donor. Most authorities did not look so favorably at having a donor. In 1970s, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, a great halachic authorities of our times, has in principle allowed it, providing that the donor is not Jewish, because it takes away the danger of a brother marrying a sister, as well as a few other complicated halachic issues, which is not a time and a place to discuss right now. It's important to know that halachically, a child born from a donor is not considered to be a child of the father that is bringing him up. So if the father is a Kohen, for example, then the child born from such a method from a donor will not be a Kohen. When it comes to the methods of either for a woman, either egg donors or surrogacy, it's much more complicated. A woman has two separate reproductive systems. One of them is to be able to conceive a child genetically, and that is through the ovaries and the ovum and the eggs. And the other one is the uterus to carry the child. And that they can work separately. So you have women who can carry very well, but they don't have enough eggs, or the eggs are not viable, and the only way they can physically have a child is by having a donor. And on the other hand, you have also women that can conceive a child because they're perfectly viable eggs, but they, for whatever reason, they can't carry a child, either because they have no uterus or because there's other problems with the uterus or with the uterine lining. In such a case, they would need, on a scientific level, to have a surrogate mother to carry her child. And the question which comes up, we're not discussing whether it's allowed or not, that's a separate question because there are many opinions, but the question is, who is the mother? The genetic mother or the birth mother? And over here, this is one of the most complicated polemics in Jewish law, when the rabbinic world and the world of authorities is divided, and there are a number of opinions, but ultimately, the only way that we can satisfy those opinions and make sure that the child will not be disadvantaged is to make sure that we cover all of the opinions. In other words, if one of the mothers, either the genetic mother or the birth mother, is not Jewish, we have to convert the child. This is a very short synopsis, and for any further elaboration, one has to be able to go to an expert rabbi in the field and to get the guidance. I want to wish you all a very good day and hope to see you again at TorahTV.media.
JewishTV.media